Jesus, well, Jesus saying that thank you. Thanks to you, Jesus. Jesus is one of the operators that help us with the export EDL, so it has been really, really helpful. Clip modifiers with the new clip metadata will be very useful. For example, being able to change the source clip timecode or time-based. Yes, that's another. Yeah, the metadata. By the way, the metadata support has been improved quite a lot in Mistika 10 and in the next Mistika workflows. When we are talking about if something improves in Mistika workflows, for example, automatically improves in Mistika Boutique or Mistika Ultima, because that's one of the unique things of the Mistika ecosystem. We are not building bridges between softwares. They are not different softwares. In fact, the core is the same. It's Mistika technology. So when we develop something from one software, like for example Mistika VR, it will be in Mistika Boutique. It's important to understand this because I know that in the previous years, for example, we have focused quite a lot our attention on the VR market because it's a new market. It's a really interesting market for us. And maybe if you are a traditional colorist, to say, okay, these guys are focused on the VR market. I'm expecting for new color tools. Well, now you have the color toolset, but you have to understand this. For example, working on the VR, on Mistika VR, has been really important to develop now Mistika 10, because we needed a first step. We needed a first approach to the new interface to understand how it works. How can we improve the functionalities in Mistika using this new interface before use that interface in the color grading tool? Yeah, maybe we could start with the color grading, but at the end, everything that we do, even if it's for another market, it affects in a good way other aspects of the software. And this is an example. Mistika, the color grading in Mistika, the new color grading toolset in Mistika takes quite a lot of things from Mistika VR, for example. Even if they are internal things, or the buttons, or just the organization of the tools, it takes quite a lot from Mistika VR. So Mistika VR has been really important for us to learn. So talking about the metadata, you will see in future presentations and with the next version of Mistika Workflow, the metadata has been improved quite a lot. We read now everything from the metadata of the clips, and that metadata support will be added as well to Mistika Boutique and Mistika Ultima, and in the future with the possibility of change this kind of settings. So yes, that will be supported, and we have some ideas of how to use the metadata in the time space in Mistika to filter clips, to organize them, to organize your time space. So yeah, that part will be improved quite a lot in the future. When it's compatible to import the latest Final Cut Pro XML, that's a topic that we need to cover as soon as possible, to be honest, because we have delayed it too much. We will be able to do it in the future. Don't worry about it, because it's a priority from the workflow point of view. It's not ready yet, but we will focus on that in the future. Do you have in the shape development roadmap the ability to add with a shape to an existing selection, for example, to fill a hole in a luminance selection? That's a really good question. To be honest, from the color grade perspective, no, we haven't take a look to that point. That doesn't mean that we are not going to do it. It's just, again, a matter of priorities. We focus first on other things? When we talk about the shapes development roadmap, what the first thing that we need to do is to organize the current functionalities and make them easier and make them faster. And once we have that part done, we will move to the next functionalities. For example, we have in our roadmap the capability of adding a list of shapes, so you can select the shape that you want and make all the Boolean operations for the shapes. I think it's an easier way to manage that functionality. But that doesn't mean that we are not going to improve that functions. It's just that the first thing that we always do, we did the same with the color grade toolset. The first thing that we did was, okay, we have this toolset. How can we organize it in a better way, in a cleaner way, in a faster way? And once we did that, we moved to the next features, to the new features. And we will do the same thing with the shapes. Right now, we are in the process of organizing the shapes in a way that are faster, that are much easier to control. Then when we cover that part, we will move to new functionality. People are asking, of course, about remote grading solution with this COVID-19 period. That's is not developed, to be honest. We have some options. We have some options, but requires a little bit of help from our technical team, because we have a streaming option. The streaming option is working really well, but is not as simple as just enable it and I don't know, and send the ID or the code to your customer, and that's it. It requires a little bit of technical knowledge, so that part needs to be improved in the future. But yeah, I mean, well, all of us know that the future will be focused as well in remote options for grading, etc. It's not something that we are not going to develop. We will develop it. In fact, we start our first steps in that direction with Mistika Review in the past, and with the streaming option for VR and for video output in general. And we will move in that direction sooner or later. It's again matter of priorities. It's not right now our focus, but we will develop that part as well. Is there a new subtitle tool? Not really. If I remember correctly, in version 8.10, we include when you drag and drop a subtitle. I don't have any file here for subtitle, but when you drag a subtitle here in the time space, you have the options to define the font family, the size, the kerning, the basic aspects for the styling of the subtitles. But other than that, the subtitle part haven't been improved since then. So there is no option for that. Mistika 10 now is supporting the SRT. If I remember correctly, SRT is supported in the time space, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if it's in other areas, like for example, you say in the DCPs. I'm not quite sure. But I think in the time space SRT is supporting for the time space. If you have any issue with it, just send us an example file and we can check, because I don't know, maybe it's an external issue. It's not related really with subtitles. It's another thing.
Okay, so the last question, I think it's
David Gonzalez, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is tell me if grade the temperature and tintas light were color space aware. Okay, the color space aware is something that we are going to change in the future. There are plans for that. Mistika will change the color management in the future. Well, will change. We are going to keep the flexibility, the current flexibility right now with the unicolor. That's fine. But the color space information will travel with the stack, and that will be the first step. In the future, we will add the possibility of controlling a more general way the color space of your time space, etc. So you will have both options: the flexibility that you have now with the unicolor, that you can combine any amount of color spaces in your time space without any issues, or to have like a more closed or more controlled situation where you define the color space or the color space workflow in your time space in your whole project. That part will be done in the future, but is not ready yet. Again, we are committed with color, and we have started with a color grade toolset, and then from there we will move forward to other areas.
All right, thank you very much, Adrian, to answer all of these questions. Thank you all for your questions. There have been quite a lot. Hopefully, this resolved your doubts, and obviously we look forward to your feedback on the new version. So as Adrian said, we'll be keeping you up to speed with the release dates and all the news related to Mistika 10. Thank you again for joining us, and hopefully you'll keep safe. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.